Good afternoon, Dominica. Good afternoon to you, and welcome to the Talk on the Block. If it's on the block, we'll talk about it. Well, it appears that the senior leaders in CARICOM of the Caribbean, after the controversial talk this week, Cuba and CARICOM, warning that if they continue to have a relationship with Cuba, there are chances that some leaders in the Caribbean may lose their visas. Well, at least two Caribbean leaders are saying, Mr. Trump, you can keep your visa. We're sticking with Cuba. That's a principled stand. Let's find out if the other Caribbean leaders will do the same. Mr. Trump, keep your visa. We are moving on with Cuba. Let's listen to this interview that was done there. But we'll take a break and we'll come back, Dominica. This is Q905 in the afternoon. And we'll do this and come back.
Somebody who creole, me creole. Mouvement créole à Soukir. Tout le monde créole pour attention. Comité pour études créole Dominique. Et puis Radio QFM qui présenté. Mouvement créole. Tous les mardis soirs, 6 après-midi. Information, blague, interview, l'histoire, problème, discussion, reportage, apprendre à parler et puis écrit créole. Lien avec ton peuple créole. Bon musique créole. Mouvement créole. Nous faisons un rendez-vous, messieurs, mesdames. Tous les mardis soirs, QFM qui est frappé avec bon parole créole. Sans ça participer, qui est nous rapidement Timamaina? Mouvement Créole à seconde station QFM. Watchez avec nous tous les mardis soirs 6h pour Mouvement Créole. Matchez ça!
Something, something, something good. Something good. Fantastic news from Eaststar Trading Limited, presenting yet another top quality, unbeatably priced product brought in especially for you. Just received world-class clear brand can tuna in chunks and flakes, available in sunflower oil and brine. Prices start as low as $2.95 per can. Yes, you heard right. Clear brand canned tuna, perfect for delicious dishes at home, in restaurants and hotels. Shop and save today on world-class Clear brand tuna, available at Eaststar Trading Limited. Eaststar Trading Limited, working hard every day to make a difference for you. Something, something, something good. Something, something, something good. A fresh market. When money don't come, then the money that hurts you. A fresh market, fresh market. We are open 7 days a week with the top of the line products. Well stocked supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meats prepared daily, hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meals, sandwiches, salads, and desserts at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it, fresh your one stop. Everybody that comes and your pocket that touch you. Fresh market, somebody to my day. Yeah. Fresh market.
Again, the big story: Cuban U.S. visa threats. If the Caribbean governments, especially those having relations with Cuba, don't stop, there are consequences. Mr. Trump warned, supported by his foreign minister. I want to go back to that report there we heard from VOA.
Next, an editorial reflecting the views of the United States government.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has announced the expansion of an existing Cuba-related visa restriction policy that targets forced labor linked to the Cuban Labor Export Program. That program, as the State Department noted in a fact sheet earlier this year, sends tens of thousands of Cuban workers around the world under multi-year cooperation agreements negotiated with receiving countries. The majority of the workers are medical professionals, and the Cuban government collects between $6 billion to $8 billion annually from its export of services. The Cuban government promotes the program as altruistic, but the State Department noted that international observers and former participants say it is exploitive and coercive. In 2021, over 1,100 participants filed a complaint with the International Criminal Court and the UN. The majority reported that they did not volunteer for the program, but were forcibly separated from their families. Most were subjected to surveillance, forbidden to interact with locals, restricted in their movements, given subsistence pay, and threatened with punitive measures, including loss of property, if they failed to return to Cuba. Secretary Rubio noted in a statement that not only does the Cuban Labor Export Program enrich the Cuban regime, in the case of its overseas medical mission, it deprives Cubans of medical care desperately needed at home. The expansion of the existing Cuba-related visa restriction policy by the United States, said Secretary Rubio, applies to current and former Cuban officials who are believed to be responsible for or involved in the Cuban labor export program, particularly its overseas medical missions. It also applies to their immediate families. Secretary Rubio added that the State Department has already taken steps to impose visa restrictions on several individuals, including Venezuelans, under the expanded policy. The United States is committed to countering forced labor practices around the globe, declared Secretary Rubio. To do so, we must promote accountability for Cuban officials responsible for these policies, but also those complicit in the exploitation and forced labor of Cuban workers.
Reactions already from Caribbean leaders. Basically, in a nutshell, telling Mr. Trump, well, you can keep your visas. We're sticking with Cuba. Let's listen there for a minute. Where are you? Where are you? Let's go. Let's go back to this one.
Just came back from California. And if I never there again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
Does anybody expect that I to go because I want to keep a visa, that I would let 60 persons from the poor and working people to die? It will never happen.
What's going on? It's not very often that you have Caribbean leaders really standing up to the U.S. government, or some people like to say Babylon U.S. But they are getting some strength to do so now. It's a good thing. When they do good, we must say they do good, and when they do bad, we must speak about it as well. And so I noticed that Dr. Keith Rowley is basically saying if he never gets to go back to the US, well, too bad. And I see the St. Vincent Prime Minister also saying, look, if he is to lose his visa and his wife, well, I prefer to lose it than to allow 60 people who currently is on hemodialysis that the Cuban doctors deal with to die in St. Vincent. So it's good to see that people are standing up. What did Dr. Rowley say? He said Prime Minister Keith Rowley has come out in defense of Trinidad and Tobago's sovereignty following the recent threat of U.S. visa restrictions announced by Trump administration against governments utilizing Cuba's overseas medical mission. The program is vital healthcare systems across the region for decades, has been described in the report by the Trump administration as constitution forced labor and a form of human trafficking. So let's hear what Dr. Rowley had to say.
Something too. Talking about we rely a lot for our healthcare delivery on certain specialists who over the decades we have obtained from India, from the Philippines, sometimes from Africa, and mainly from Cuba. Out of the blue now we are being called human traffickers because we hire technical people who we pay top dollar equal to local rates, but we are now being accused of taking part in a program where people are being exploited. That's somebody's interpretation. And of course, there are local people here encouraging them to take away our US visas. Today, I just came back from California. And if I never there again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
Right, so Rowley made a serious stand talking about Trinidad's sovereignty. The St. Vincent government in a bold stand for healthcare in the Caribbean. Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves expressed his willingness to sacrifice his U.S. visa to maintain the presence of Cuban doctors in his country. And he was speaking at the PNP forum in Portland. He defended the vital role that these medical professionals play in local healthcare system, particularly the contribution to essential services like hemodialysis at the Medical Diagnostic Center in Georgetown in St. Vincent. So let's listen to Dr. Ralph Gonzalez.
The Secretary of State of the United States of America has issued a statement that countries which are complicit, in his words, with trafficking in persons and exploiting Cuban professionals, the doctors and engineers who come, that those who are complicit will lose their passport, they lose their visas and their families. And if he knows the facts, I'm sure that he will understand that we are not involved in that. But if it is determined that you have to take away my visa and Eloise's visa, I want to say this publicly. It will be reported. I'm not looking for a fight with anybody, but we have to be honest and open. The hemodialysis which we do in St. Vincent at the Modern Medical and Diagnostic Center with these 60 persons, without the Cubans there, I will not be able to offer that service. So, does anybody expect that I to go because I want to keep a visa, that I would let 60 persons from the poor and working people to die? It will never happen.
There you go. So you see Prime Minister Ralph Gonzalez of St. Vincent standing up for what he believes. And Gonzalez's declaration, of course, comes in response to the recent announcement by the U.S. government. Of course, they're now aiming to restrict visas. But, I understand some people are saying, look, these Caribbean leaders could talk these things on stage. You could say them for the show. They're not going to lose it because they have diplomatic, pass through and they go to the US. What about the local people if the governments decide to stand up against the United States of America? We'll see how this plays out, but that's a good thing to see that Caribbean leaders are finally taking a stand on something and not being afraid to talk back to the United States of America. Can't be a bully all the time. Have a good day.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Nestor, on the podcast there. What are we going to do? We'll have to wait and see, huh? Will our Prime Minister take the same stand? Will our Foreign Minister take the same stance? Will you stand with the Cuban people and the Cuban professionals? Remember just a short while ago, President Trump called Haiti and other African countries shithole countries. Remember that? Now, let's listen to Mr. Trump.
Using vulgar language, President Trump today questioned why the United States would allow people from Haiti and Africa into the country, describing those places using an expletive while suggesting people from Norway might be more acceptable. He reportedly made the comments during a White House meeting with a bipartisan group of senators. The White House tonight is not denying the president made the remarks. Now, we want you to know our report includes that expletive once so that you can hear the complete quote for yourself. And of course, it may not be appropriate for some of our younger viewers. NBC's Peter Alexander has details.
The president tonight apparently uncorking another astonishing statement, complaining to lawmakers in the Oval Office about protections for immigrants. Why do we want these people from, quote, all these shithole countries here? According to a Democratic aide familiar with the conversation, Mr. Trump was referring to African nations and Haiti. before suggesting the U.S. should have more people from places like Norway, whose prime minister he met yesterday. A White House spokesman tonight not denying the president's words, but saying certain Washington politicians choose to fight for foreign countries. But President Trump will always fight for the American people.
That was, of course, a report there from CNN some time ago. 44930959697. I want to repeat, will our leaders in Dominica and maybe other Caribbean countries as well stand with Cuba? We'll have to wait and see. It's 1:22. Or the question, should they stand with Cuba? Someone is asking the question, if Mr. Skerritt, if it comes down to this, will he take a decision like Ralphie and forfeit his U.S. visa? I dare Mr. Roosevelt Skerritt to tell us where you stand as the world boss in this one. Let's go to the telephone at this time. Hello, talk to me, yes?
I say love, life, light, heal, enjoy, gratitude, courage, and sacrifice. Mr. Pelter, blessings to your family, sir.
Gratitude to you. Blessings.
Matt, thank you. Matt, I'm listening to Ralph Gonzalez and his name Kit Rowley or
Yes.
Keith Rowley, whatever is his name.
Mr. Raleigh of Trinidad.
Matt, they're not talking about Cuba, you know. The concern is about their country and the services they're getting from Cuba. If you listen to the both of them and contextualize what is being said, they don't care about the region. Because, Matt, who Trump is attacking? Trinidad and St. Kitts, Matt?
He's
my brother, who?
He's speaking to the CARICOM region.
That's it. And you have two arrogant mules, Matt, excusing my...
Why would you describe them as mules if they're being, taking that stand? Why?
What did you just say, sir?
I'm saying, why would you describe them as mules? Why?
Matt, my apologies. But
Thank
Matt, there are so much educated donkeys walking with PhDs. Matt, a situation like that, Matt, you know who you're attacking? America. America, that have you in the palm of their hands because of all your malgovernance, all your
have had a meeting of CARICOM to share the idea. Why?
First and foremost, Matt, prior to your utterances defending your liquor rock in the Caribbean.
You think they should have called Skerritt before they made a statement?
What did you say, sir?
You think they should have called Skerritt before making a statement?
He's not scared, Matt. The whole of CARICOM, all of them, an emergency conference, meeting, whatever. And then all you come out there with a common forward movement. That's what I'm saying, Matt. That's what I'm saying. But this guy, Matt, I'm not a diplomat. You is a diplomat. Your name is Matt. I am just telling you, Matt, common sense. And I tell you that you said about it's better to be thought of as a fool, and you know the rest of it, Matt. Matt, I am saying these are doctors. These are educated people.
I don't want to agree with you, Blessings. You may have a point, but my point is, do you expect Ralph Gonzalez speaking to his people there at a convention to call Mr. Skerritt and say, well, this is what I'm hearing. What is your point on this? I'm saying maybe you have a chance, but I don't think, speaking spontaneously to his people, do you think he has to call Mr. Skerritt or the rest of the Caribbean to say, this is what I'm going to say?
Listen to me, Matt. Are you going to listen to me?
I am listening to you. I am listening to you. I'm not going to cut you off. I'm listening to you, but you have to get my point as well. It's a spontaneous speech he was giving to his people, and you're saying that he should call Mr. Skerritt before he makes that statement, or any other Caribbean leader?
No, it cannot be Skerritt. Who the hell is Skerritt in the Caribbean, Matt? They're talking about the collective. Skerritt is the collective. I am saying, Matt, let's say you get caught in the moment. Listen to me, my brother. You get caught in the moment, you're being irrational and impulsive. You still have to use discretion and say, it is a sensitive matter. So we're going to summon the rest of the members. And then I can give a good deliberation response to the matter rather than running and saying what you said, defending your country when the whole region is under attack. So I'm not saying he should not have addressed his people, but Matt, these are educated people. I am not.
No, blessings. You have it all wrong. You have it all wrong. Like I'm trying to tell you, they were speaking spontaneously. Should they call, or should they have called like Gonzalez or Raleigh? Should have called Skerritt or any other Caribbean leader before making a statement? I disagree with you on this one. 1:30 is the afternoon time. Let's take another call. Yes? Let's take another call. Yes, talk to me. Yes?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. Yes.
I endorse what Mr. Bessin said. Very easy to understand. They get together and have a meeting, but one go there, one go in there. It's confusing. I endorse what Mr. Bessin said. Thank you very much.
All right. I'm saying if you speak spontaneously, yes, you can gather together, but if you're speaking spontaneously, speaking to your people, should you just make a statement before, call the Caribbean leaders before you speak to your own people? I don't know if I agree with that one. Thank you very much. Hello, 449-3095-9697. We have to agree and disagree, but on this one, I disagree with Blessings on that one. I can tell you that. If, for example, they have a collective visa, this is a different point. All leaders have separate visas. So they can speak for themselves. Mr. Skerritt can come out and make a statement. For example, Gonzalez is with Taiwan. Should he call the rest of the leaders in the Caribbean and say, well, I'm with Taiwan? You should stick with Taiwan? These are individual responsibilities. On the telephone, hello, talk to me, yes?
Matt, our government have the public, the people of Dominica on their toes.
Mm.
It is overdue for a statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We should have had a response long ago, publicly made. They don't have to wait for no joint PACAT meeting. Skerritt owes the public and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs a response to the public of Dominica. We are waiting for our government's response. Take care, bro.
Well, it was 2 days ago when the story first broke. I reached out very early. So Mr. Vince Anderson, he has not responded. Hello, talk to him on the telephone.
Good
Yes?
afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon.
I think young blessings are basically the same thing. But I think what you're missing at this point is that, okay, the situation came out. Rather than just coming out and say something, yes, it's spontaneous. But a lot of blessings saying these are diplomats. These are men with degrees. These are men who have been in the game for the longest while. Take Europe, for instance. Trump has issued certain things against Europe. You didn't hear every European leader come out and say anything. Europe just recently, in a joint statement, just decided putting tariffs on the United States. Same with India. The president of India did not just come out and respond to every single thing that Trump said. So, yes, they could have said something, but say, listen, we have to meet as a group because it's an entire group that's been attacked, and then we will come up with a stronger statement. But from our standpoint, we don't think we are ready to. They could have been a bit more diplomatic about it. I think that's what Blessings is trying to say. But you also have a point. But I think you're missing Blessings.
I'm getting Blessings from. I'm telling Blessings. Those leaders who spoke spontaneously. Mr. Raleigh just came back from California. Mr. Gonzalez was speaking at a meeting 2 days ago to his people. They had some convention. I'm sure these people will come together at some point. I asked Mr. Vince Sennison, the foreign minister, 2 days ago. He has not responded. So, what do you expect me to say? 135. Hello, talk to me. Yes. Are you still there? Yes, talk to me on the telephone. Yes. Are you there, caller? Just remember that we at 2:00 we have the DSS. Hello, talk to me. Yes.
What the Caribbean country looking for? Did you get it?
All right, caller. Thank you very much. Hello, yes. 449-3095-96 and 97. Hello, yes.
Yes, I understand your blessing coming from you. Maybe sitting on a different wavelength, but I understand your blessing coming from. Yeah, you have to speak spontaneous. Maybe at some point.
You're speaking to your people.
Situation. Hold on a while, please. You telling your people, well, we as CARICOM or OCS members have to meet together. But for me, that is what I would have said. But the way he came out, like he's speaking for himself.
So for example, Blue, if Mr. Skerritt has a different idea, what would you want, say, Raleigh or Gonzalez to say?
Not all of us to get together and they will talk about it. Then they will discuss what they're going to do. One can come out and say A, one can come out and say J. All of them should get together.
For example, as I said before, Mr. Gonzalez is in Taiwan for many years. Did he speak to Mr. Skerritt before he made the decision? No, we're talking about doing things together.
Yeah, but doing things together, but Gonzalez was in his thing before Skerritt going Trump with China.
Mm-hmm.
So that he can't tell Skerritt what to do when Gonzalez was in his business and Skerritt went and do his thing on his own. Right. Them people are interested in their country and their country well-being. According to Marco Rubio, I listened to him good. He said the people in Cuba need attention too. A lot of people are sick and dying in Cuba and they need them same medical care and they are not getting it. But whereas the other countries getting it because Cuba benefiting from that. If the man say that, I cannot fault the man on that. But the same way the Cubans are here and in other countries doing the work, why couldn't the Caribbean leaders send their own people to be trained in Cuba to come back to train their own people? Why couldn't they do that?
Well, I'm telling you, based on my understanding of it, Blue, even that program may be affected as well.
Not that may be. Mm-hmm. But I'm talking about what could happen all the time they were getting them Cubans. They could have done that, and by all now, so they would have all their own people in their country doing that. But no, I get it. It's cheap. Let us work on that. That is all them.
So what do you think Mr. Skerritt should do at this time? Support who? What do you think Mr. Skerritt should do at this time? Support Gonzalez and Raleigh?
Not Skerritt. That's not what he's going to be thinking of. Is that his wife have maybe green card? Their children American citizens, so Skerritt can jump like a could just like them and speak. His wife will hold him in his fruit.
You see what I mean? 138. Hello, talk to me, yes. People have different ideas and opinions on that one. Hello, talk to me, yes. Somebody said here on Facebook, Skerritt is not going to say anything. Last 4th of July, something about Molly the donkey and the American children celebrating American Day Independence and their fancy home. And gated community in Florida, they love the American lifestyle. Hello, talk to me, yes.
Yeah, hello, Matt. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir.
Yeah, based on the subject at hand, how many countries that Cuba assist in terms of health?
Most CARICOM countries, yeah.
Right, most CARICOM countries. Now, what I would like to know, what are we in terms of Mark Rubio? What Mark Rubio said, like what he meant as per what he said?
What he meant? He's saying that if these Caribbean countries continue that relationship with Cuba, using the professionals, for medical purposes, they're gonna put restrictions on the leaders of the Caribbean and their families. That's what they're saying. So visa restrictions will be applied.
So now is Mark Rubio saying that we are exploiting Cuba's expertise, so to speak, or he's against Cuba? That I would like to know.
No, he's basically saying that we're exploiting. That's the point there. 139, yes?
Yes, Matt.
How
I was listening to your conversation.
Yes.
I wanted to weigh in for
okay. Go ahead.
The question on my consequences shape the behavior of our politicians. So at this junction, I would think that going forward, just like Blue was alluding to, that we would focus more a professional in those positions. While I don't, I don't have anything against it coming over to fulfill.
For some reason, I'm not hearing you very clearly. So try another line. And we have different lines: 449-3095, 449-3096. But your line was, getting a lot of ruffles there. Hello, talk to me. Yes.
Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon to you.
Do you know in American basin?
Yes, we know that. So what? Your point, sir.
China come and overcome us. We have to respect those above us. That's all about it.
All right. Hello, talk to me. 140, I think 138. Hello, talk to me. Yeah.
Let me try to be more clear with you. You have a little disrespect.
I don't have any disrespect. You're calling people donkeys. You remember that, Blessings? I'm saying that you should not refer to these people as donkeys.
Did I refer to you as a donkey?
Not me. I said the Caribbean leaders.
Oh, no, that's why you get upset.
No, I did not get upset, Blessings. You have to understand your point is not always the right one. We have to respect others' opinions as well.
Because that's my point.
Well, go ahead, Blessings. Go ahead. But respect other opinions as well.
Matter, let's say an accident, and all the words you utter, when the matter done in court, can you go and say the same thing, Matt? You know when you say you cannot talk on a matter because it is pending in the court, Matt?
Yes,
So that's what I'm saying. You could talk all your talk, but what I'm saying is in Europe, when America pulled out, talk about Ukraine and Trump on tariff and Europe, what they did, an emergency meeting. None of them took a stand individually. They run and the partner that called after me just reminded me of that, an emergency meeting among NATO members, Matt. And that is what I'm saying. Matt, you cannot individualize that kind of attack on the Caribbean. Look at big Europe. And all of them run and call one another together before they come up with a common approach towards tariff and Ukraine and all of that. My brother, while I call them jackass, I apologize. But I'm saying, Matt, why these Caribbean leaders keep doing the same thing over and over and over and looking for different results? In cricket, it's not the same thing, no, Matt. Big and small island, everybody doing what they want individually. I said it this week there, Matt. Look at how the Europeans get their act together having to do with a single space and single currency. We're talking that for years and we never make no move. So now look at what we are up against, and they're still going in the fragmentation, think they can get a solution to a common problem. It is sickening, Matt.
All right, caller, thank you. 1:43 is the afternoon time. We're taking more phone calls. 449-3095. The question is, what are our leaders, talking about Dominica this time, what are our leaders, what will be their stand? I spoke to Mr. Vince Henderson earlier this week via WhatsApp. Let me just read the WhatsApp I sent to Mr. Vince Henderson earlier this week. Let's see if we can get it one. I sent him a voice note.
Minister, I just need to talk to you as it relates to them threats facing Caribbean countries. I guess it's about the visa, Cuba, and the professionals that have been working across the Caribbean and across the world too. The American government is saying, we have to end this because, they're very concerned, and it might have repercussions for persons like yourself who may have visas.
So I did reach out to Mr. Vince Henderson. That date was when? I think it was Monday. So that's 2 days ago. Hello, talk to him on the telephone, yes? Are you there? 449-309-596. So don't forget, tomorrow, Thursday, we are, asking all patriots to support the cause for electoral reform. On the telephone, hello, talk to me, yes? Please.
Yes, good afternoon, Matt. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, my brother Mikey? How are you?
I am forced to call.
Okay.
I'm not a defender of Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit,
Mhm.
but he has spoken. I send you the clip, Mark. In the Caribbean news, he said that we need to dialogue with President Trump around the table and come to a common understanding. Now, the record will show the Cuban Health Brigade and healthcare medical professionals in 140 countries. So it's not the Caribbean alone. There's Saudi Arabia, there's Bahrain, there's Qatar. He will not stop their visas to America because America is heavily dependent on oil. I don't want to sound anti-American, but we need to be rational. America is the agenda, and the American doctors will not come for the rest of the world and the Caribbean to give us health care and humanitarian service like all the Cubans are doing. Michael Timothy in solidarity with the Cuban people and the Cuban Health Brigade. I stand with Gonzalo too. He doesn't care to go America. Rory said that to Matt. If you check my inbox to you, I send you all the relevant information. Also, there's a man from Jamaica. He put out an article this morning at 3 a.m. I read it and I sent it to you, Matt. So if you read it, you will get a proper perspective as to how that thing is. They will not stop the Saudi Arabians visa, the Bahrainians, the Kuwaitis visa, but they will penalize the Caribbean leaders. And I thank the Caribbean leaders for standing up. My PM has responded. I say my PM. But check the article. Okay, Matt.
All right, Mikey, thank you very much. I'll check the article. Someone is saying these countries are all sovereign, first to themselves and maybe after CARICOM. What they are making a fuss about. Blessing song, then. Anyway, I will not read that text there. He needs to first listen before his utterances. Hello, talk to me. This guy's just made the statement there, as I said, spontaneously. Maybe they're speaking to the people and then they'll refer to CARICOM. Hello, are you there, caller? Are you
Yes,
there?
madam, there.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Well, Matt, Trump is a nut. I said that. He's a nut job. He's a nut case. And he's using all kinds of things to disrupt, to turn the whole world upside down. That's the first thing I want to say. But, the other thing is that most of our prime ministers, they're probably heavily invested in the U.S. So on one hand, on one side of their tongue, while they talk alba, 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 and talk about this and that, all their money is in America. So it's a bit hypocritical. Even their children have been born in America. So the hypocrisy is overwhelming, Matt. Good afternoon.
All right, thank you very much. It's 1:44 in the afternoon. Hello, on the telephone. Let's take this call. Are you there? Yes. Hello, talk to me. Yes. Hello. Sorry. The overseas line seems to have some problems. Hello, yes. Good morning.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
You hear me clear?
I'm hearing you clear, yes.
Okay, great. I just think in the discussion we should also bring into focus, that this stems as a direct consequence of the policy of the government. I believe that even if we don't have a problem with employing Cubans within certain professional areas, but we should have diversity. We should have enough diversity in there to say we that statement of we cannot carry out
hemodialysis, yes.
If we don't have the Cubans, I think that is something that the Vincentians should ridicule. That those things are unacceptable, and I think that the consequences is what shapes behavior, and this is as a direct consequence of the policy of the government to not encourage greater local participation in those areas. So I think while, yes, we focus on the U.S. and the stance that they are taking, but all of this is to protect their people. So what are the Caribbean leaders doing to protect their people, to protect those jobs for their people? So while yes, it would be noble to stand in solidarity with the Cuban people and so on and so forth, but we elect people to represent our interests and our interests first. I don't think the interests of the Cuban people should supersede the interests of the people on the ground. And to meet that deficiency, with Ralph talking about, without the Cuban people, we would not be able to do something that should be basic, that local people should be able to do for themselves, So I just wanted to bring that perspective into the conversation.
All right, caller. Thank you very much for your perspective. Hello, talk to me. Yes. Let's respect each other's opinions. Hello, yes. Good morning. Good afternoon, sir.
Just a few seconds, Matt. Quickly. Iraq was a sovereign state. Libya was a sovereign state. And look, they're planning to invade Iran, a sovereign state. Sovereignty is not for the weak, Matt. Sovereignty is for the mighty and strong in the world of today. When all you wake up, all you will tell me.
All right, caller, thank you very much. 449-3095. Again, let's respect each other's opinion. Hello, talk to me. Yes. Good afternoon.
Mr. Peltier.
How are you?
Thank you. Listen, maybe Besson should use it. Hear what the Bible said it. In Psalm 32, verse 9. Be not as the horse or as the mule, which have no understanding, whose mouth must be held in with bit and bridle, lest they come near unto thee. But God is saying that He'll instruct them how to go. So sometimes, maybe the way He used it, but God is using some, David using it is that sometimes horses and mule and those things there. When you bring them somewhere, they want to go somewhere, so you have to put that kind of thing in their face, like a bridle like bit, so that you can instruct them exactly where you have to go. And I think to myself, what I believe in about Cuba helped them a lot, because we had a set of people that were blind. They could not see, and they gave them a lot of opportunity to go, and many medications and these things there. I don't think they have, should let Cuba down. Even when the nurses are there, they cannot speak our language that much. But if you go there, always smiling, and they're happy to be in Dominica. Some of them don't want to go back because they know what they go through. So I think that the opportunity should be given to them. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Again, we have to, and somebody just indicated that maybe I have not heard the statement just yet that Mr. Skerrit may have spoken on that issue. Telling CARICOM, let's get together and speak on the issue. Well, let's listen there. Again, it's 1:49 in the afternoon. This is Q95. We're speaking to the issue statements made by this one there, sorry.
Just came back from California. And if I never there again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
Does anybody expect that to go because I want to keep a visa, that I would let 60 persons from the poor and working people to die? It will never happen.
What's going on? It's not very often that you have Caribbean leaders really standing up to the U.S. government, or some people like to say Babylon U.S., but they are getting some strength to do so now. It's a good thing. When they do good, we must say they do good, and when they do bad, we must speak about it as well. And so I noticed that Dr. Keith Rowley is basically saying if he never gets to go back to the U.S., well, too bad. And I see the St. Vincent Prime Minister also saying, look, if he is to lose his visa and his wife, well, I prefer to lose it than to allow 60 people who currently is on hemodialysis that the Cuban doctors deal with to die in St. Vincent. So it's good to see that people are standing up. What did Dr. Rowley say? He said Prime Minister Keith Rowley has come out in defense of Trinidad and Tobago's sovereignty following the recent threat of U.S. visa restrictions announced by Trump administration against governments utilizing Cuba's overseas medical mission. The program is vital healthcare systems across the region for decades, has been described in the report by the Trump administration as constitution forced labor and a form of human trafficking. So let's hear what Dr.
Let
Rowley
me
had
add
to say.
something too. Talking about, we rely a lot for our healthcare delivery on certain specialists who over the decades we have obtained from India, from the Philippines, sometimes from Africa, and mainly from Cuba. Out of the blue now we are being called human traffickers because we hire technical people who we pay top dollar equal to local rates, but we are now being accused of taking part in a program where people are being exploited. That's somebody's interpretation. And of course, there are local people here encouraging them to take away our US visas. Today, I just came back from California. And if I never there again in my life, I will ensure that the sovereignty of Trinidad and Tobago is known to its people and respected by all.
Right. So Rowley made a serious stand talking about Trinidad's sovereignty. The St. Vincent government in a bold stand for healthcare in the Caribbean. Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves expressed his willingness to sacrifice his U.S. visa to maintain the presence of Cuban doctors in his country. And he was speaking at the PNP forum in Portland. He defended the vital role that these medical professionals play in local healthcare system, particularly the contribution to essential services like hemodialysis at the Medical Diagnostic Center in Georgetown in St. Vincent. So let's listen to Dr. Ralph Gonsalves.
The Secretary of State of the United States of America has issued a statement that countries which are complicit, in his words, with trafficking in persons and exploiting Cuban professionals, the doctors and engineers who come, that those who are complicit will lose their passport, they lose their visas and their families. And if he knows the facts, I'm sure that he will understand that we are not involved in that. But if it is determined that you have to take away my visa and Eloise's visa, I want to say this publicly. It will be reported. I'm not looking for fight with anybody, but we have to be honest and open. The hemodialysis which we do in St. Vincent at the Modern Medical and Diagnostic Center with these 60 persons, without the Cubans there, I will not be able to offer that service. So, does anybody expect that I to go because I want to keep a visa, that I would let 60 persons from the poor and working people to die? It will never happen.
There you go. So you see Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent standing up for what he believes. And Gonsalves' declaration, of course, comes in response to the recent announcement by the U.S. government. Of course, they're now aiming to restrict visas. But, I understand some people are saying, look, these Caribbean leaders could talk these things on stage. You could say them for the sure they're not going to lose it because they have diplomatic, pass through when they go to the US. What about the local people if the governments decide to stand up against the United States of America? We'll see how this plays out, but that's a good thing to see that Caribbean leaders are finally taking a stand on something and not being afraid to talk back to the United States of America. Can't be a bully all the time.
Dominic has 4 more minutes before we engage our friends at DSS. All right. Someone is saying to me here that sometimes Mr. Blessings must exercise soberness. It comes out as hate. You cannot be the person that writes here, a friend, huh? You simply can't be an expert at anything or everything. On everything. All right, Dominica. On the telephone, how to talk to me? Yes, so we can have a what?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir. How are you? How are you?
Matt, I listened to Gonzalez,
Yes.
and his rationalization
Uh-huh.
of not supporting the American call, right, is the reason why we should get rid of those people there. Because if that is the only justification that you keep them there, right, it shows that you have failed to invest in your people. But Matt, more than that, the Cuban brigade is around the world. And you'll notice that the Americans have targeted the Caribbean especially. It is a way of fighting. They have failed on several attempts, Matt, in the efforts to keep the American blockade against Cuba. And so they are trying to find a different way now to target the Cubans. The last time there was a vote, it went 100 and something to 2. Only 2 persons voted to maintain the blockade, and that was America and Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so the Americans are trying to find a way. If we cannot beat them in one way, we'll get another way. And are seeing this as human trafficking. But the whole problem can be solved, you know. If the Americans should say, look, everybody's independent. They cannot justify anything they've tried against Cuba. The Biden had removed Cuba as a country that's of state sponsor of terrorism. As soon as Trump came back, he's put it on and he started this war. And he's targeting the Caribbean. And I think what we need at this point in time is for a unified response. Yes, I accept that the leaders will speak on their platform in their country, but I think the time has come, Matt, that we hear something unified from them. We need to hear a statement that says, this is the Caribbean's response to this. Right? And we cannot let it go on forever and ever and ever, and everybody's taking their own little individualist position. Because if we go one-on-one, you cannot fight the might. Even if we go as a bloc, we cannot fight the might of America. However, they will know this is our position. And for those who believe that America does not need us, they do. Businesses in America need us. Right? And so we cannot just sit down there quietly. Our leaders have sat on this for long enough. And that is why each one is making an individual statement. They need to have called an emergency meeting and say, this is our position on that. For once in life, I'm not a friend of scary.
Okay, caller. That I can agree with. Call an emergency meeting, but don't tell the leaders that they can't speak to their people. Have you heard Mr. Skerritt speaking to his people on this one? Or Mr. Vince Anderson? We are awaiting our next guest in studios, Dominica Social Security.
Fresh market, where money don't count and your pocket don't hurt you. A fresh market, I might pay. We are open 7 days a week with the top of the line products. Well stocked supermarket and pharmacy, health and beauty care, fresh produce and meat prepared daily, hot and cold kitchen, ready to go meals, sandwiches, salads, and desserts at your fingertips. Easy access, located on the bayfront, environment friendly, and our staff are approachable and ready to assist. Have you figured out who we are? You got it, Fresh Market. Your one stop. Where money don't count and your pocket don't hurt you. Fresh Market, never did I find it. Fresh Market.
Ooh, oh, KFC.
KFC. Looking for some place to go. He knows for so. KFC. Grab your family and your friends. Join in the experience. KFC. It's the place to be. Made for you and me. KFC. KFC. It's finger licking good. I read.
All right, this afternoon we're talking to the Dominica Social Security. It's not an opportunity we afforded too many times, so we welcome them in a very, very big way. Let me allow the deputy to introduce the rest of the guests this afternoon to you. Good afternoon to you. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Good afternoon to your listeners. Not badly, thank you.
I've not seen you in a while.
Mr. Well, I haven't seen you.
Yeah, everything good?
It could be worse, thank you.
All right. So tell us, introduce yourself and
Okay.
tell us about the rest of it.
Okay, Augusta Satan, Deputy Director, Dominica Social Security. With me this afternoon is Mr. Abdulaziz Sanderson, our Computer Services Administrator, and Mrs. Kamasha Lloyd, who is our Marketing and Communication Officer. As you said, it's a while we've been here. This year we've taken the decision to afford your listeners the opportunity to interface with us periodically, at least once a quarter, so that they can be apprised of what's happening at Social Security. Sometimes we wish we were being invited by the various media houses when there's an issue and they need us to come and speak to their audiences, but I suppose we have to make the approach and then...
I'll take a note of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you need to invite us on.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
you
know.
need to speak on something specific.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
If invite us on and then you get us to come on the program.
No problem.
But this year we've taken a decision to at least appear once a quarter so as to interface with your audience and inform and educate them about social security matters.
Okay. The rest of the team?
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. President. How are you?
Good afternoon to you. Call me Matt.
Okay, Matt.
Those handles I don't handle well.
Okay, so my name is Kamasha Lloyd, as Mr. Eaton indicated, Communications and Marketing Officer of Social Security.
Okay.
And we are happy to be here this afternoon to interface with your listeners and, well, the wider public on matters of social security to inform and educate.
Good afternoon, Matt. Abdulaziz Anderson. Thanks for having us, and good afternoon and good day to all the listeners out there. I'm the Computer Services Administrator. I'm responsible for the digital transformation at Social Security to ensure that
that's a big one.
Yes, we're trying to eventually to get online so that everybody can be able to check there from their contributions, to make contributions. Or
ask questions. And can I ask questions too?
Eventually, yes, as we go along.
Okay. All right.
Straight back to Mr. Eaton.
Mr. Deputy, what's happened to Social Security as we speak at this time? What do you want to report?
What do you want to report? First of all, we want to take a look at last year, what our performance was like last year. It's not unlike what is happening in the wider economy. But we want to say that we were happy to have realized an increase in our contributions income.
Okay.
And that is to be expected to a certain extent. But while this is happening, we also see increases in our benefit payments.
Okay.
Now, we exist to pay benefits, and that is not an issue. But given our current population dynamics, where we have an aging population, every year we have more and more people qualifying for pension, and those pensions are payable at very high rates and over long periods of time. So while we saw an increase in our contribution income, we also saw an increase in our benefit payments.
Okay.
To say to that, because our system is a partially funded system, people access benefits based on contributions that they make to the system. but their contributions alone is not sufficient to support the payments that we have to make to each such person when they qualify for benefit. Because the pool that we operate, there is solidarity in that pool. So part of the benefit you will receive is partially paid for by your own contributions, whereas our contributions will support the payments to you and vice versa. So our contributions is the main source of income into the system. The contributions that are paid by employers on behalf of the employees, self-employed person on their own behalf, and voluntary contributors on their own account. That's the main source of income into the system. And with that income, we have to pay benefits, which is why we exist. When people qualify for various benefits, we have to meet the cost of administering the program, salaries, utilities, everything that is necessary to operate a business, and any surplus funds not needed immediately for those two uses or purposes, we have to invest to generate additional returns to continue to grow the fund. So for the last several years, we have not been able to, we have not been able to, our benefit expenses exceed our contributions income on an annual basis.
Exceed.
Yes, we pay out more in benefits every year than we actually collect in contributions. So the fact that we're able to pay benefits means that our benefit payments are being subsidized by investment returns. Because we collect, let's say we collect $70 million in contributions, we pay out 72 or 73 million in benefits. But because we have investments that we've made over the years, the returns on investment allow us to make the shortfall in contributions. And it's not something that was not expected. And that is why the system has to continue to undergo review periodically to make changes to ensure the system can remain both sustainable and relevant to people.
You just made a point there. You guys review every 3 years. And I had a businessman who spoke to me last week and said that the Social Security should be audited every year. How would you respond to that?
Social Security financial statements are being audited every year. The actuary does a review every 3 years to assess the system and to make recommendations and projections to ensure
Yeah, go ahead.
To ensure sustainability and relevance. But the financial statements of the institution are audited on an annual basis as required by law.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Another question that usually comes up. Why, and we've heard that before, but I just wanted you to explain a little further. Why have we moved from 60 to 65? Some people say, well, I have to wait until 65 before I connect my contribution.
The same actuary that comes and do the assessment every 3 years looks at what is happening in Dominica, the economy, what's happening at Social Security, what is the state of our population. We pay income, we are existing to protect our population, working population, people who pay contributions, right? So when they come, they look at what's happening in the population dynamics. We have a situation where we're having an aging population, or people are coming of age, they're becoming pensionable. You have a situation where people are having fewer children now than before. Your parents had 3, 4 of you. Mine had how many? Too many to talk about. But right now, if I have 3, I'm not having more. So we need people to be working and contributing to the system to support the payment of the benefits to those who qualify for benefit. So the actuaries come and they see what's happening. The evidence on the ground is that people are living longer now. And we always get challenged when we say that, because they say, but young people are dying. That is true. But when the people qualify for pension at 60 and 65, they go to 95, 100, and so on and so on. And once the system...
Putting a pressure on the system because they live longer.
They live longer. Well, pressure, yes, but once you pay your contributions and you qualify, the system is obligated to continue paying you until death do us part. So because of that, because the evidence on the ground that people are living long, not that young people are not dying, but that when people qualify for pension, whereas initially they had projected they might have to pay them a pension for 10, 12 years, we have to pay them for 20, 30 years into the future. And you have to ensure that the system remains sustainable for every successive generation of contributors. So they made the recommendation to increase the pensionable age to 65, meaning that you will work until you attain your 65th birthday, and at 65 you start drawing your pension for however long you live thereafter. 95, even 100, whatever. So that what it meant is that you would work and contribute into the system 5 years longer than what happened previously. Because from the time the institution was established in 76, there have been 60. But from 2012, we've had to move the age to 65 gradually. It has been at 65 since 2021.
And you don't expect it to change?
Well, no, not in a hurry, no. Because the trend the world over is that, and everywhere else, their pensionable age has always been 65. A few of us were at 60, almost everybody is moving to 65 now. Barbados is now at 67.
67.
Yes. So it is because of what's happening on the ground that they recommend that the age increases so that you allow people to work and contribute longer, and therefore the system will pay them benefit shorter because nobody knows when people are going to die. But once you qualify, whether it was at 60, at 62, or 65, and you qualify at that time, we have to continue paying you until you die. And upon your death, if you leave dependents behind, we have to continue to pay.
I want this program to be very interactive.
Indeed, we expect that. In
because
fact,
I want to get callers very early. Are you there, caller? Yes?
Yes, Matt, I'm there.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Is there any indication from the data that the contributors are increasing? That's the first question.
You want to stand the line to ask another question?
Yes, that's the first question.
Ask the question again. Ask the question again.
Is there any evidence from their data collection that the contributors are increasing, the number of contributors to Social Security? In other words, are there more jobs in the country? Because that's how you will have more contributors. And another question is, the people who are working for the Chinese companies, particularly the one who's building the airport, is the Chinese company paying to Social Security while they are working with the Chinese? That's the two questions, man. Thank you.
Okay, well, they're here.
Thank you. Okay. Our contributors, okay, we have a statistic that we track at Social Security, what we refer to as active contributors. And these are people who would have paid at least one single contribution in any 52-week period and 12-month period. And the number has been in the region of 25,000 for the last few years, 25,000 and something. So we're not necessarily seeing a massive increase in that number, but it kind of fluctuates around 25,000 and something of active people who not necessarily working consistently, but they at least would have made contributions for at least 1 week, 1 month in a given year. So that number is not necessarily increasing to the extent you would want to see it increase, because maybe there is not as much employment taking place in the economy, but also there are also not enough people to to do the work sometimes. As we have the aging population, people are saying when you increase the pensionable age, you're making it difficult for young people to enter the workforce. Because we have fewer children, we have high risk of migration. There may not always be.
There's no space for upward mobility.
I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't say that. Because, as I said, if you haven't got the young people around to take the positions, sooner or later we're going to have to rely on older persons to stay in the workforce longer, because there will not be young people to take the jobs, because people are having fewer children now. Yeah. What was the second question?
Question with the Chinese.
Okay, the Chinese that operate in Dominica, they have all kind of excuses. Sometimes they don't pay for the Chinese nationals because they're paying them in their country, whatever. But one thing we try to ensure is that the Dominicans who are engaged by those Chinese corporations, they pay their contributions for them, because at least that is our focus, that our nationals are protected while they work, and they will have access to benefits when the time comes. So we may not be able to get the Chinese nationals themselves to contribute to the extent that we need them to, because they're working in Dominica, but we ensure that they contribute for the Dominicans who they engage to work with them.
All right, so they contribute for the Dominicans who engage with.
Yes.
So there's no way, there's been a lot of talk that Social Security may be in crisis. You will dismiss that?
Well, we can get into crisis if we don't do what we're supposed to do when we have to do it. Because when the actuaries come every 3 years, they assess what's happening on the ground, and they signal to us what is going on, what changes need to be made to ensure that we don't get ourselves in crisis. So if we fail to heed what they say to us in a timely manner, you can find yourself in crisis. But
there's no need to worry at this time, as we speak.
No, we just need to do what we have to do. All of us who are stakeholders, all of us employers who are engaging people to work for themselves, self-employed persons who are working for themselves, pay the contributions that you have to pay when you have to pay it. The actuary make the recommendations. We do what we have to do. Then the system will be there to do what it has to do for us.
On the telephone, hello,
for the
yes?
foreseeable future.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yes.
One lady.
Mr. Etienne, yes.
The problem is not security paying at 60%. The problem is that the law of the land says you're supposed to retire at 60. So if the law of the land says you're supposed to retire at 60, you should have a choice. In other words, put it at you Social Security paying at 65, you retiring at 60. But if you choose to retire, you retire at 65, sorry. But if you choose to retire at 60, then you can absorb the cost. But when you tell me Social Security, it's not adding up, it's not on par. And if you have to make a survey around the world, whenever Social Security paying you at a retirement, if it's 67, 65, the law of the land says that is the time you have to retire. So you cannot retire at 60 and Social Security want to pay you at 65. It doesn't add up. So now the law of the land is supposed to be on par. Social Security paying you at 65, you supposed to retire at 65. And then if you choose to retire at 60, you can absorb the 30% cost. And another question, and I know every 3 years you just do their assessment to see if you can get an increase or whatever. But the last 3 years, not the last 2, but the 3 years after I was 60, I've never gotten an increase. But now they're talking about giving me an increase after 6 years. So I don't know what was the reason they didn't get an increase the 2 years before. No. Thank you.
I can speak to some of the questions.
What should be the first one we already asked?
As it relates, I know
the first one, I think it had to do something with the applying early.
Yes.
Okay.
60. Yeah.
All right. The fact is, you say that the law of the land say you retire at 60. There is not a legislated national retirement age in Dominica.
There's not.
None. Social Security from inception had been paying pensions at age 60, and everybody fell in line with that and allowed people to go
But
at
there's
age
no
60.
law per se.
No law per se. No, Social Security is not paying a retirement pension. We're paying an age pension that you qualify for when you attain a particular age.
Okay.
So retirement can take place at any time. You could have been working somewhere for 20 years and you figure I've had enough of this, I'm going to retire from this job. But when you retire from this job at 40, you're not yet eligible for that benefit that Social Security pays.
Mm-hmm.
You can retire at 40 from your workplace and you can go and work somewhere else. So retirement in and of itself does not trigger your access to age benefit from Social Security. That it becomes due to you when you attain a given age that is defined in law. Historically, it used to be at 60, and from 2012, it had moved from 60 gradually until it's now settled at 65. So just as people previously kept people in the workforce up to age 60, we had hoped that as the age increased gradually, employers would keep their employees in the workforce until they attain the Social Security age. Now, that has not happened to the extent that we had hoped it would. It is a discussion that we still have to continue to have because it really places some people at a disadvantage. If they are forced out of the workforce at 60 and they have to wait to get their pension at Social Security at 65. Now, the law makes a provision for a person to apply for that pension anywhere between 60 and 65, except that when you do, you're going to receive a modified or reduced pension, because what it is seeking to do is to equate what you will enjoy for the rest of your life from the time you take it, at whatever age, up to the time you die, with what you would have gotten if you had taken it at the full age and you still die at the same time. Your date of death is set already. We don't know when, but it is set. We will not know when you die until you die. Yes? You with me?
I was
right. So that if you take the pension from 60 when you're supposed to get that from 65 and you die at 70, having taken it at 60, you would have enjoyed it for 10 years. Whereas if you are taking it at 65, you would have enjoyed it for 5 years. The actuary has assured us that for the system, the amount that you will receive by the time you die, whenever that is, will be about the same, whether you took it from 60 or from 65. Because the reduction that's applied equates it to what would happen if you have taken at the full age.
Yeah, let's talk to him on the telephone, yes? Oh, sorry about that. Let's try another call. Are you there?
Yes, good afternoon again, Matt.
Good to you. Mm-hmm.
I just want to engage your guest with a real world scenario. I don't want to call the name of the institution, but basically, employees have been receiving their salary slips for over a year, call it, for the period of 2024. And go to the Social Security only to find out that no payments have been made for that entire year. How does that impact the fund? And part two of it is, what steps is the Social Security as an institution taking to, because I believe that consequences is what shapes behavior. So what consequences is there for the employers, particularly the statutory corporations, that that we have that scenario occurring. So I'll be listening for the response, and if I need to, I can call back.
All right, caller.
Okay,
Yes.
before we take a response to that question, Matt, the caller who called earlier spoke about having an increase on his pension. He haven't seen an increase in his pension. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. So I just want to inform the caller that with the effect from the 1st of March, Social Security implemented a 4.27% increase to all pensions in payment as at December 2023. So if you're receiving your pension by December 2023, from the 1st of March, you would have seen a 4.27% increase reflected on your pensions when you get it in March. And this is to take into consideration inflation. So the regulation makes provision that every 3 years, we are supposed to have an increase based on the inflation rate for the preceding 3 years. So that has been implemented from the 1st of March. So when this pensioner gets his pension, whether fortnightly or monthly, in the month of March, he should see an increase of 4.27% on his pension. And also to add that the minimum pension also increased from the 1st of March. So the minimum pension used to be $76.81 a week. That has increased to $80.10 a week. And as well as we have had increases to the funeral grants that we pay. Social Security pays a funeral grant to insured persons upon their death to assist with their burial expenses, as well as to the uninsured spouses of those persons who contribute to Social Security, and if they have dependent children who die as well. So from the 1st of March, the funeral grant payable upon the death of an insured person has moved from $3,200 to $3,400. For the death of an uninsured spouse, meaning that you're a contributor to Social Security and your spouse who is not contributing dies, we will pay you a grant of $2,842 to assist with the burial expenses of your spouse. And for dependent children, who are children under the age of 21, unemployed, unmarried, and at school, or in the case of children who are disabled, it doesn't matter what age they are, once they're fully dependent on the insured person, upon their death, a funeral grant of $1,416 is payable. So those increases took effect from the 1st of March.
Are you there, caller?
Yes, I'm there. Question to Social Security people. Why are the pay people so late when they're on sick leave? Take a long time for you to get your money. Because when people work, first money are coming out. Is the Social Security money on your pay slip. And when come for you to get your benefit, you can get it in time. The second, I would like to know why.
Exact question. I missed the first part.
Question: why does it take so long to pay sick benefits?
Sickness benefit.
Yes.
Okay.
But for the caller, the first question,
Okay.
we'll tie into that one.
What was the first question?
The one to do with
I think the question that we missed in terms of
to do with contribution.
Employers.
Employers.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You can link to this.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Okay, so you have situations where employers actually make deductions from the wages and salaries of employees and don't remit it to Social Security in a timely manner. And that is why we encourage contributors, insured persons, employees, workers to periodically check with Social Security to ensure that their payments are actually being made. Because some people take comfort in the fact that their pay slip show that a deduction has been made every month, but it doesn't mean the contributions are being paid. We have field officers, compliance officers, inspectors that are mandated by law to go out there and to enter any premises where even they just have a suspicion that employment activity is taking place and to conduct investigations. So in the course of their investigation, their surveillance, they might come across employers who are engaging people to work for them and not paying. Or if we have the information at the office, they come and they make the inquiry and we find out that the employer is not paying. We take a note and we go and explore. And then once we get the employers, we get them to commit to pay. When we have recourse to the courts, unfortunately, the court system is very slow. But we have recourse to the courts that we can seek to take to recover the contributions that are due. It's not fair to the workers that the employers are deducting and not paying, because when that happens, if you deduct it for the purpose of paying to Social Security and you don't actually make the payments, you are basically pocketing the person's money.
How big is that problem?
It's a problem that is too big. We would prefer to have nil delinquency, but it is something that, and I guess sometimes the state of the economy can affect that. Some people really have challenges and in terms of cash flow management and so. And some of them, they make, whenever they have the money, they pick the payments. Some of them is because of difficulties. But some people are chronically delinquent, and these are the ones that are more concerning. Those who are chronically, and they're in particular sectors, security firms, the construction sector. And sometimes the workers in the construction sector, they collude. They connive with the employers and say they don't want to pay social security. And the employer welcomes the news and don't do it. But under the law, the employer is an agent of social security. And if he fails to make the deduction upfront, he will be held personally liable for the full amount whenever we discover that he's owing.
And we have seen too, before Mr. Sanderson goes into the second part, that the construction sector is one of the most at-risk sectors for injuries on the job. And interestingly, the first place these persons will come to is Social Security to find out if there's anything for them. And also if they fall out with their employer, the first place they will run is to Social Security to see my employer has not been paying my contributions, only to find out all the while they were actually conniving and colluding with those employers not to deduct monies from their pay for Social Security. So we want to sound the call out there to those persons engaging in the construction industry. Your job, is very risky. You have families, you have dependents that you leave behind if something happens to you. So it is very important for you to ensure that your contributions are paid to Social Security so that if and when something happens, you can indeed benefit from the system.
I want to make a point.
Yes, so Mr. Etienne said that he would advise persons to come in every now and then to check on their contributions to ensure that they're employers. Now, that has been encouraged over the years. And hopefully, within the next year, we'll move into something different, whereby you will not necessarily have to come in. You'll be able to log in online to see exactly whether your contributions are being paid. So if you get your salary slip and your payment shows, okay, they took out X amount for Social Security, and they paid it to Social Security. Once the system is updated and it's done, then you can simply log into your account and check to see if your contributions have been paid. If it's not, then if you want to further, you can either check back with your employer or you can come to Social Security to say exactly what's going on.
How soon that will take effect?
We are looking at this. We are at the first phases we're rolling out internally.
Okay.
And we're looking at, as long as we get positive results, by the end of summer, we want to start targeting employers and doctors before we get to, by the end of the year, to the actual insured persons.
Okay. On the telephone, yes?
Yes, Madam.
I what?
Matt.
Yeah, so what is happening to you? You have your radio on full volume, so we're getting a feedback. So please turn on the volume on your radio or whatever device you're listening.
Turn on the radio.
All right. Talk now.
Matt.
I'm here.
Yes, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your guest. Matt, I well glad they touch on people that making their payment and they are not paying it. But I have my son that working in a certain company and not told them it. And not 2 years their Social Security haven't paid.
You mean the company's Social Security has not been paid?
2 years, Matt. The company is taking money from their salary, Matt, and they are not paying the Social Security for 2 years now.
There are some employers who are chronically delinquent in making their payments. That happens. But once we get the information, our officers go out there, they approach the employers, they investigate, they get the records of the employers, and they compile information in terms of how much the employers owe. And over time, we seek to recover those monies. They can pay by installments. Sometimes we have to take them to court to get the monies. Again, as I said, the court process is slow. Now, the Social Security deductions, because they are statutory deductions, these are things that you almost cannot escape from. So the court can send you to prison, fine and confine you, and you still have to pay the contributions, because those are contributions that you cannot get away from because you make it for a particular purpose and you not use it for that purpose.
All right, let's take another phone call. Are you there? Oh, wow. Time is running. You guys need to take 2 hours when you come in here. Remember that, eh? Hello, talk to me, yes, because we need a little more time.
So you give us another pro bono?
We can discuss that. Hello, talk to me, yes.
Yeah, what I want to find out is the formula Social Security uses to arrive at the final figure. And why they're using all the employers, workers with SWIFT to calculate the person's pension. They're not using all the employers. They are supposed to use all the employers. It have a few people that Social Security only using 1-2 employers. And they even take a company to court. Say the person collecting money and they wasn't paying and the program was finished. So I want to know the formula they're using and why they're not using all the employees. So
The employers. I think I'm trying to get this.
Yeah.
There's some person, for example, of some persons who have worked for different employers.
Mm-hmm.
But you guys, according to him, that is an allegation, you use one employer out of the 3.
In what sense? Use one employer in what sense?
In the sense, okay, you work for Q95, you work for DBS, or you work for Kyrie. So you're only using Q as the formula to pay the final.
That's not correct.
That's not correct?
That's not correct.
That's his point.
If you have multiple employers, each employer you work for is supposed to cover you, because the payment of the contributions is insurance coverage on you, the employee, in the event something happens to you. And one of the something that is likely to happen is that you can get an injury on the job. Now you're working with those 3 different radio stations, you can get an injury going down Q95 step, and that will prevent you from going to DBS and Kyrie. Right? Let us assume Kyrie not covering, not paying for you, and you get injured on Kyrie's premises, on Q's premises, you're not covered, you cannot access benefit if Q not paying for you. No, we have a maximum salary that we cover, $77,000 a month for any person. $7,000 is the maximum salary that we cover.
Okay.
If you're making $10,000, you don't pay on the full 10, you pay on up to $7,000. That's what you are covered for. Your benefits are based on that earning, your contributions are based on that earning. Even if you're earning $7,000 with one employer, it doesn't mean the other 2 employers should not pay for you, because they need to ensure you that if something happens to you on their premises, they are covered. So each of them is supposed to pay for you on what they're paying you. And when we combine your contributions at the office, you will have overpaid.
So there's a formula.
We will refund you the excess that you would have paid, because you should not pay on more than $7,000. But each of them have to pay on what they're paying you. Now, the employer is not supposed to get a refund. You will get a refund because you maximum covered for $7,000, but the employer has to pay for whatever. Now, when you qualify for benefit, your benefit is based on your combined earnings. So if you're earning 3 different salaries from 3 different places, even when people are sick, sometimes, I don't like to say it, but it happens. Sometimes you're sick for one employer because you have a beef with somebody at the workplace, but you want to go to the other employer and work. You can't be sick for one and not sick for the other. You have to be sick for both or for all 3.
It happens?
Yes, it happens. So when the doctor issues you a medical, you have to present medicals to each of your employer, because under Social Security, you're not supposed to be getting salary and benefit at the same time. So if you're sick for one employer, it means you're getting salary from the other employer. You will not be entitled to the benefit. So you have to we take account of all your earnings from all your employments, really and truly. The only situation we have is that you might be working here at Q95 and you freelance in journalism, wherever, somewhere else as a 7-point person, probably making more money than Q is paying you. At the moment, you cannot pay as an employee of Q and as a 7-point person. That is something that we are pursuing. We've actually drafted the legislation to make that possible, so that people can contribute dually in both capacities, subject to the maximum salary.
On the telephone, yes.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Matt, and to
I'm here.
And good afternoon to Mr. Etienne and the rest of the panel.
Good afternoon, caller.
Right. Mr. Etienne, can I say that Social Security is a quasi-government entity?
Repeat the question, they'll hear.
Can I say that Social Security is a quasi-government entity?
Statutory board, yes.
Yes.
From government. So now, if, let's say the government owes me $400,000 and Social Security, I owe them $150,000. how could that be deducted against what the government is owing me?
Deducted by whom?
From Social Security, because you are like quasi-government institution.
Yeah, but our funds are not mingled with government funds, you know. Our funds are separate and distinct from government's funds. So if the government owes you money, when you come to us for clearances or whatever, you can authorize them to deduct from what they owe you and pay us directly. But the way our funds are managed separately.
Are you there, caller?
So if we were just one fund, then I suppose.
I think I understand.
Yes.
Against the other.
All right, caller 449-309-596. The telephones keep ringing there. It's already 2:37 in the PM. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Yes, good afternoon to all.
Yes.
Mr. Etienne, if you never fall sick and they are paying Social Security for it, what are you benefiting? Because you never fall sick. You never gone sick leave to get a Social Security money. What is your benefit if you never fall sick? I want to know about that, please. Thank you.
An interesting question. Some people never fall sick.
just-
I've never claimed.
Well, the caller should be happy that she has never fallen sick. She has good health. But just to say that Social Security offers a package of benefits, short-term benefits, employment injury benefits, long-term benefits. So even if she doesn't fall sick, there may be something else that may happen to her that we are providing income protection for that she can claim for. So just to elaborate a bit, Social Security not only offers a sickness benefit, we offer maternity benefit to pregnant women who may have to abstain from work due to having a baby. In addition to a maternity grant, we also have employment injury benefits that we pay to insured persons who may be injured on the job. And I just want to add that for employment injury, you don't necessarily have to make any contributions to Social Security. The key is to be insured with Social Security from day one of your employment. So if something happens to you, you suffer from an injury on the job or job-related illness, then you can qualify for employment injury benefits, which is in itself a whole package. You have the injury aspect of it that we pay. We also have medical expenses. If you have medical expenses as a result of that injury that you suffer on the job, such as prosthetics, you may have to do surgery, therapy, all of those things. Up to a maximum of $7,000, you can claim for that, as well as if you were disabled or you are sick because of that injury for a period in excess of the 26 weeks that we normally pay, then you can go into disablement benefit that will pay for as long as that condition lasts. The doctor will determine the nature of your disablement, and then based on that, we pay that benefit. And if in the event that that person dies as a result of that injury that they suffer on the job, their dependents can qualify for death benefits. Not only does that employment injury benefit, we have long-term benefits such as invalidity. You have a permanent incapacity or disablement that you cannot work for that period of time. We'll pay you an invalidity benefit for as long as that condition lasts. We pay survivors benefits upon the death of an insured person to their surviving dependents, which could be their spouse or their dependent children. Once they're under the age of 21, unemployed, at school, unmarried, they can qualify for survivors benefits. And the funeral grant that I mentioned earlier that just increased from the 1st of March. Upon the death of that insured person, a grant is payable. So it's not just sickness benefit. And the one that most people know about, the age benefit that we pay upon the attainment of the age of 65. When you retire, or when you attain the pensionable age, which is now 65, there's also the ability to claim it from the age of 60, but subject to a reduction. So all of those benefits are available to persons once they're contributing to Social Security. So you miss out on sickness, say praise God, you have good health, but there may be something else that might happen to you during the course of your employment while you're contributing that you can qualify.
I've heard the comments from many people as it relates to sickness benefit, like you're sick, but the Social Security is taking a little time to pay. What's the formula for this?
Okay, so sometimes we have COVID is no longer with us, but during the COVID time, we had an influx of claims. And so the claims were coming in rapidly, fast and furious. We also had, if our staff were impacted and they were not available. So sometimes you have situations where the information that is required to process a claim is not available to you at the time the claim is made. Sometimes the employer has not paid, the employer has not submitted information. sometimes information that is critical to the processing of the claim is not on the form. The form is not thoroughly completed, and so we have to contact the employer to get missing information to clarify and confirm certain things about dates and amounts that were paid and all of that. So in the ordinary course of business, all things being equal, everything is done. We pay claims every day, every week, as and when they come in. So all things being equal, a person should not have to wait more than 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks to get paid a sickness benefit. But you have situations that arise sometimes when, for various reasons, that cannot be accomplished because certain things that you need to process the claims is not available to you at the time to claim it. Within the recent past, because we are transitioning between our an old IT and a new IT system, we have little delays because sickness benefit is dependent on recent information, and we may not necessarily be up to date before processing of the contribution information. That can pose a challenge for us. But within 2-3 weeks at most, ordinarily, a person should get paid their benefit because they're processing those claims every day, every week, as and when they come in. And we do it in the order in which they are received, because you might have been on sick leave in December, but if your claim not reaching us now, it's not reaching us, so you were in sick leave in December, but somebody was in sick leave in January, and we got it before yours. We will pay that one first because it's done in order.
So it's priority.
Chronological order of receipt.
Because remember, sometimes it could actually, the sick leave paper would still be at your employer's place. So now, if one day they tell me, I have this sick leave to send in and give to secretary to bring in, and you were on sick leave 2 months ago, we don't know it.
Yeah.
Because they still have to sign up and send it to us. So when it gets to us is when we can process it.
Okay.
And interestingly, Matt, I had a situation like that. I was dealing with a customer who was inquiring about her benefits, and only to find out she was on sick leave 3 times last year, June, August, and I can't remember the month. And the employer only submitted the form to Social Security this year.
Wow.
So the employee was under the premise that Social Security is not doing anything about her claim. But the employer submitted the form to Social Security very late, almost a year late.
Wow.
And it's only when they receive the form we can actually start doing any processing on it.
Somebody's asking a question, very important one. How can the Chinese decide to make the contributions in China? Under which law are we operating here? Are we operating under Chinese law?
No, we're operating on Dominican law.
So why would China decide? The Chinese decide.
I don't know if deciding who the person who engage the Chinese are the ones, I guess, that determine the terms under which they work.
Yes, fair answer. 2:47 is the telephone time, the afternoon time. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Good afternoon, Mr. Peltier.
Good afternoon to you.
I have been trying 100 times, but finally I have patience. Good afternoon to Mr. Augustin.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm all right, and good afternoon to the lady and the gentleman. I want to give my contribution. 1, I retired in 2005. I had to wait 5 years to get my Social Security because I retired at 65. So Mr. Etienne is correct. I had to wait 5 years. When I was 60, I got. So far, I've gotten my Social Security for the past 20 years, and I'm very happy. Now, Mr. Etienne, I try to solve a problem for you. I agree that you all paid an increase on the first. But you see, some of the members do not understand how the Social Security operates. So I have to correct them. The first was a Saturday, so they couldn't get paid the increase on a Friday. Am I correct? Am I correct, sir?
You're correct.
You're correct.
Right. They could not get paid the increase on the Friday. So I told them they would have to wait on the first, which was a Saturday, and they got the increase the following Wednesday, which was Ash Wednesday. Some of our people, they don't understand. Catch you too wet. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, caller.
Somebody's asking the question. Let me see if we can get back to that there. What does the DSS plan to do about what?
About what?
I'm just trying to get to the beginning. Matt, they have not answered the caller's query re government and statutory corporations who are not paying deductions.
It doesn't matter who the employer is.
Are you aware that the statutory operations are not paying?
There might be 1 or 2 in between, but anybody who is not paying, we pursue them to get the information and we take action to get the payments by enter into arrangements with them, debt agreements where they pay by installment, or we take them to court eventually. Because when it comes to attention that an employee is owing a certain amount of money, we write to them to tell them we are aware that they are owing so much. Give them a time by which to pay. That time elapses and they have not done anything. We refer that matter to our legal department, who will write to them and demand payment by a certain date. If that date elapses and nothing happens, they take action. The next action is to file a suit in the court, but the court process is slow.
Somebody's asking another question to you. A question from my uncle. He has been paying from 1997 to date. Can he apply for early retirement at 55?
No. Retirement is one thing. The benefit that we offer is an age benefit that you receive or you qualify for when you attain the earliest age 60. You can retire at 40, you can retire at 35. You cannot access retirement. You can access a benefit. We have no benefit called retirement benefit. You get to age 60, you figure you cannot wait to 65, which is when you qualify for your full pension. You can apply from 60, but you will get a reduced pension.
Just to add to what Mr. Etienne is saying, while we have the reduced pension from the age of 60, the regulation also makes provision that persons can defer their pension. So you attain the pensionable age of 65. You can make the claim and write to us and tell us, I want to defer my pension by 2 years or by whatever time. And the reduction factor that is applied when you claim it early, you get that in interest, 0.5% added to your pension.
That has always been there, but nobody has exercised.
Person has not exercised that option, yes.
Hello, talk to me.
Good afternoon, Martin. Good afternoon to your
yes.
guest. A caller raised a concern which I find was very valid, but at the end of the day, Social Security have their procedure and how they conduct things. For example, the caller mentioned there are people who have been contributing to Social Security for many, many, many years. They never claim to say, well, they fall sick or anything happened to them, but they keep paying Social Security. To me, I find that area should have a form of compensation for that. Now, another concern that I have, if you keep complaining, like, for example, you make a report that you're sick and then you cannot work for a period of time and then things have not been well for the time, is that going to affect your full payment when you reach at 65? I would like to know, please.
Okay. Just to say that Social Security offers a range of benefits, each of which becomes due to you upon the occurrence of specific events. Sickness is not the only benefit that we offer. Now, if you are a healthy person, you work and you never get sick, count your blessings. Some people figure they've been paying for 20 years and they never got anything, so let them fake a sickness to get a sickness benefit. Some people do that, and if you do that long enough, you will eventually get sick. Okay? Now, the aim is not for you to fake a sickness or just to try to twist the arm of the system to pay you a benefit because you figure you've been paying for a while and you're not getting anything. The fact remains, when the situation befalls you, you get sick, a young woman becomes pregnant, somebody suffers an injury on the job, you become disabled, you attain the pensionable age, or you die. It is at those specific moments that the system owes you something. No, because we exist to pay those benefits when you qualify for them, the fact that you are sick, always getting sick leave, doesn't affect your pension. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't. It doesn't reduce the pension you will get at the end of the day, per se. Because when you're sick and you're not earning salary, you're not paying contributions. Because you pay contributions on salary that you receive, right? You're sick for a whole month, you don't get your salary. You get money, but you don't get salary. Social Security pays you 60% of your salary, employer pays you 40%. But because you did not work for the month, you don't have salary, you had benefit, right? But the system gives you points, credits for the period that you're sick to go towards your pension. No. For the part of the month that you work, if you don't work for a full month, you will have had salary and you will have had sickness benefit for part of the day. The earnings can be affected by your sick leave, and therefore, because your pension is a function of the number of contributions you will have made during your working life and your salary, it can affect the level of income that we use to calculate your pension, but at the same time, it's giving you points towards your pension to get the 500 points that you need.
All right, somebody said, man, I have no difficulty with the 30% penalty if someone takes an early age pension at 60. However, I think that individual should revert to getting his full pension when he reaches the age of 65. you would have suffered the 30% penalty for 5 years. How do you respond to that?
I explained at the beginning or earlier that the actuaries, the rate that they've prescribed for reducing the pension by is a universal rate that is used universally by all social security systems, right? It equates the benefit you will have enjoyed from age 60 up to the time of your death. I'm going to use an example. They told us you have twins. So I have a twin sister, you know, right?
Of course.
Okay, we're so close that we studied the same program, we did the same kind of job, we're making the same kind of earnings, everything. So we born the same date, but because we're so close, we're always liming. Okay? So my sister, for whatever reason, decided she's going to take her pension at 60. And I decided taking my pension at 65. Everything about us is the same. And we died in a car crash over the carnival weekend, God forbid, on the same day. She took her pension from 60, I took mine from 65, and we died together at 75. Both of us will have gotten about the same thing by the time we die. Okay. So it's equating what you're getting 5 years earlier to what you would have gotten had you taken it at the full age up to the date of your death.
No, the system is never cheating.
The system is not cheating. No, for us that manage the system, we had concerns initially because our desire would be for people to wait as long as possible. Because if you wait, the system has to pay you later and for a shorter period eventually. But when they gave us that assurance, it might affect our cash flow because if everybody come and claim early and we haven't got the money to pay, we have to go and liquidate assets to be able to pay. But at the end of the day, the impact on the system is about the same one way or the other.
All right, somebody's asked me to ask a question. I suspect I'm going to ask that question to the tech guy here. Man, ask them about providing proof of life for age benefits via WhatsApp video. Is that possible?
That's what we're doing now.
Actually,
Yeah.
I'll take that question.
Okay.
Yeah, we are actually doing that since last year. Persons, especially those pensioners who are out of states, can actually call us via WhatsApp video call to renew their life certificates. The number to call is 767-275-2600.
Repeat.
767-275-2600. So you need to have a valid form of ID when you're calling. It has to be a video call, of course, because we need to see the person, and they need to have a valid form of ID, preferably their social security card. If they don't have it, then we can accept another form of ID, such as a passport or so on.
Let's play a voice.
Keep in mind for that, it's not just for the overseas person.
Yes.
We have also extended it to locals because there are some people who they are
Bedridden,
they are not able to come to Rose comfortably. So we have no problem with doing the same procedure via WhatsApp.
Okay, let's listen to a voice note here on the telephone. Let's see.
Matt, good afternoon. Matt, I want to know from Social Security why they changed the Social Security card from being a regular card with no expiration date to an expiring card, although the number does not change. So I want to know why you now have to pay to get this card renewed. I think, is it annually or biannually, or however they have it, when every other Social Security card I know is a flimsy piece of paper with no expiration date on it. And we have one that is hard plastic, but it expires. Why put another burden on the people
Let me conclude that sentence.
who pay Social Security to have a card renewed? Thank you.
Anybody can take this
Security card, first and foremost, is a card that is issued to a registered member who is contributing, right? Over time, we've improved the card, and we have a person's photo on the card. As such, the Social Security card is recognized as a valid form of pictorial ID.
ID, yes.
That people can even travel regionally with that card. People can do transactions at the money transfer agencies to the extent that the bank requires that as a main form of ID to open an account at the bank now. And not realizing that every single person who may want to do some business will not have a Social Security card, because unless you are a registered contributing member, you will not have a card. We're not issuing cards, Social Security cards or Social Security numbers to nationals once they're born, like some jurisdictions do it. So they use our card to travel regionally, and when they land on the other side, they're asking them how valid is that card. Because when you travel on a passport, your passport has a validity period. So because of that, we've had to include an expiry date on the card. Now, we've never recalled any card that we've ever issued to our members, our contributors, because any card that they present to us now with their number, we can ID them because it is we who issued it to them. But when people want to use the card for those other purposes, then they need to get in line with what the other establishments require as a valid form of ID. Now, the first card that we issue to you when you first register, we give it to you free. If you want to get a subsequent card, whether because you lose your first card or because it is expired or you figure that one is not the current one that we're using now, you want to get the current one, it comes at a cost because we have to, and the $20 we're charging is just a small percentage of the actual cost of producing that particular card.
You want to make a point?
Yes.
Go ahead, yeah.
So, Matt, let me just ask you a question. Mr. Ethan did outline the reasons from travel and different reasons why. But I also like to state that it's not only Dominica that have cards that expire, okay?
Okay.
But just picture if you were making your contributions on your salary slip for years, you have never been sick, you never came to change your card, and you came at the end of the time of the next 40 years when you came and to find out that your contributions were not being paid. One thing that Renewing Card does do is when you come, we actually check your records. I have seen persons who come there and that's when they discover that their employer was not paying their contributions. And that's when, if it's something that was missed, that we can actually go and investigate so that we can actually recuperate the funds that were supposed to be paid on your behalf. So that is one of the unforeseen advantages that are there now.
Here's a question being asked, or a statement, if you will. If you're sick for a while and you go past 3 weeks, is it right for your boss, and maybe another question to you, to ask or tell you stop sending in sick leave or force you to resign while you're sick? I don't think you can answer that question.
No, that's not for you. That's not for us necessarily. Well, labor, they have to track labor division, but the employer is within their right to try to curb what they might perceive to be an abuse of the sick leave privileges.
Some people overdo it.
Some people overdo it. So they have to use whatever means available to them to try to curb that abuse. But personally for us, if the person presents a medical certificate certified by a duly registered medical practitioner working in Dominica, we haven't got doctors on our staff. We honor the claim and we pay them.
A quick question before you go. See, the time is upon us and the telephones are still going. That's why I advised you earlier. You take 2 or 3 hours.
So just give us the
question to Dominica Social Security officials. In the case of death of an individual who has been receiving Social Security benefits, is there a package for a living spouse?
Yes. So as Mrs. Lloyd alluded to earlier, there is a funeral grant that would be paid to the person who has met or is liable to meet the burial expenses. So if you pay the expenses to the home, you present the receipt and we refund you up to $3,400 as of this month.
Okay.
If you have not paid, you can arrange with the funeral home to take care of the arrangements, burial arrangements, and they give you an invoice, and you can authorize us to pay them the grant. If you leave dependents behind, a spouse and the children, dependent children who are for now under 21, unemployed, unmarried, at school, or disabled, then those persons can qualify for survivor's pension, which should be a percentage of what the person who died was getting. If the person who died leaves no spouse, no child behind, but they have a parent or grandparent above the age of 65, who they were supporting when they were there, that parent or grandparent can qualify for part of the benefit they were receiving. That is a survivor's pension.
I think I gave a number a while ago as it relates to the video. Can you repeat that? Some people's asking.
Yes, okay. So the number to call to renew your life certificates if you're abroad or, as Mr. Sanderson said, on island but unable to come in, 275-2600. So 767-275-2600. And while I am on that note, I want to remind our pensioners that the deadline for them to renew their certificate of life forms is the 31st of March, 2025. So after the 31st of March, if we have not received your renewal of your life certificates, your benefits are suspended until that time when you receive that certificate.
If someone works in Dominica,
just please not before anybody think that she said suspended, okay? So
until. So
you'll get what was missing.
But if we don't hear from you, we presume you're dead, We presume you're dead until you resurface.
If someone works in Dominica for less than 10 years but qualifies for aged pension in another CARICOM state, will that person qualify a grant in Dominica? If not, will the person be returned or refunded by DSS for the period that he contributed?
Okay, so if the person works in CARICOM, we have a CARICOM reciprocal agreement that is in force.
Okay.
So when the person works in different CARICOM territories, different things can happen. The person can qualify independently somewhere in CARICOM, in which case that somewhere will pay them what they qualify for by them. And anywhere else they would have contributed within CARICOM, that system has to pay them a partial pension automatically. If the person move about so much that they didn't settle any one place to qualify independently, we totalize, we combine the contributions they would have in the different places to allow them to qualify. And each system where they would have contributed would pay them a piece of their pension.
Oh boy, so many questions. There's so little time. How can we qualify for a loan from Social Security to build our houses too? And how can one become a board member?
How can one become a board member? The board is appointed by the minister responsible for Social Security. They want a loan to do what?
To build a house.
To build a house. We are not a financial institution with the facilities and mechanisms to manage mortgage loans.
How do you
Well, we have a student loan program that we administer because it's a shorter term to repay the loan.
How do you I just want to get the question going there just in my mind. How do you decide on what investments you make out there?
We have an investment policy that determines what investments we can make, what risks we can take, and what levels of return we should strive to attain, and those kinds of things. So we make the investment decisions at the material time based on the best available information we have. No, nothing is ever certain, but we can say that most of the investments we've ever made have been.
I know there was some talk out there that you're providing some loans for low-cost persons within the government system or Social Security contribution for the Warner area. I think it was established for housing. Is that still possible?
Loans? No, we have not making loans available for
building houses there, no?
No, we had plans to build houses in a portion of land that we own in Warner.
Right.
But that we haven't gotten the green light to proceed with that. We haven't gotten the green light to proceed with that.
Okay.
Because we have to get clearance from our principals to be able to do certain things.
Gentlemen, the time has come and gone, and I hope I will invite you next time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. So invite us at a time. Don't wait for me to invite myself.
Okay, I'll invite you next time.
Yeah.
I make it a duty that I will invite because so many questions coming.
Yeah.
We can't answer all the questions.
Right.
But guys, thank you for coming today.
The pleasure has been ours.
And hope to see you soon.
Yeah, so invite us back, but we have a next.
We look forward, but we'll be back here in May.
Sometime in May.
The invitation will come before that.
Right. Okay.
But of course we'll be happy.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Education is always important. Thank you, sir.
Good night.
All right, Dominica, we're gonna move on to our folks there from Flo, Dominica.